Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's your host, Rising Oblivion. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about those 7 brand new projects that we're expecting to be having over the course of about a year, starting in September for the 25th anniversary of Persona. So, we have some slight details as to what a couple of these projects could be, but we also know that a lot of these could be varied in different ways, and it doesn't necessarily mean that these are going to be all video games. They're just saying that these are projects, although we do know for sure that there is supposed to be 2 brand new Persona titles alongside these 7 projects, or at least I'm pretty sure that's a leaked thing or something they actually said, but I think we're supposed to actually get 2 brand new titles when it comes to the series. So I wanted to go over what all of these 7 different projects could be and what we might be expecting here in the future when it comes to Persona. Now, moving on to the first project we actually can see on the website, we kind of have a little bit of a teaser slash Easter egg type of thing going on first. Most of the projects you don't actually see anything for, they just say like upcoming or something like that they're going to be eventually happening, but with that first project that's supposed to be happening in September, that's starting us off on the 25th anniversary of Persona, it is actually a yellow TV that is sort of flickering. That sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? More than likely that first project might be something around Persona 4 or Persona 4 Golden. What I think this is more than likely going to be, and I think everybody in the world has already tried asking for it, this is like second to put Persona 5 on the Switch, that is the Persona 4 Golden ports to like console and Switch in different places. I would love to see that, but this might be more than just a simple port of Persona 4 Golden. We could be seeing something like what they did with Shin Megami Tensei 3 in terms of having an actual full-on remaster, which I think makes a lot of sense. I would love to see Persona 4 Golden not only on console and on Switch, but it also looking better. I think that would do Persona 4 Golden justice, seeing as how well it did on Steam. Having a remastered version of this game at least cleaned up pretty nicely like they did with Shin Megami Tensei 3, and allowing us to have it at a 60 frames per second on console and whatnot, that would be really cool, and I would really enjoy that. But I have my fingers crossed that it is going to be an HD remaster. However, I think more than likely this is just going to be something like a port or something like that, brought over to console, and that being pretty much PS4 and Switch. Hopefully it'll branch over to Xbox. I don't know, man. I don't know. Who really knows? We'll have to see. But let's move on over to the other project. And I want to also keep in mind that the rest of these projects honestly could be in absolutely any order of when they actually have them all come out when it comes to the ports or the brand new titles coming out and whatnot, because we have all the way till August of the next year basically for all of these different projects. So the order in which the rest of my list is going to be going on here could be kind of random because we don't exactly know what they're willing to put out first, whether it's a remaster first or a brand new title first, so it's kind of hard to tell where exactly we're going to be when it comes to what things are going to be coming out first. Is it going to be new titles, or are we going to be getting more like HD remasters and ports first? Because they could throw a brand new title Persona game right in the middle of this. So when I go through the rest of my list here, more than likely this is going to be something random. I don't think this is how this is going to be coming out, but that's just sort of how I'm naming my list. We know the Persona 4 Golden thing, or the Persona 4 thing, more than likely is going to be the first thing, just seeing as how the TV there sort of shows that, and it is set for something in September, and with how well Persona 4 Golden did on Steam, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first thing they come out swinging with. But like I said, for the rest of this video, the rest of these things could be any random order, more than likely. But another one of these projects that I think are just as likely, considering how well Persona 4 has been going on, is the Persona 3 port or remaster for that as well. So we have a couple different versions of Persona 3 that they could go with, but they could try and decide to make them have a similar type of situation with what happened with SNT 3, where you have the different versions of it, but locked behind DLC. Maybe you can decide to pick a different version of the game or something like that. I think a port of these is more than likely what's going to happen. Like I said, maybe something like dropping it to Steam or having a digital download on the Switch or something like that. I know a lot of people really want Persona on Switch, and I hope with all of these new projects, if we do get remasters or ports, they also decide to jump into Switch as well. Persona 5 Strikers got this treatment where it was pretty much released on everything, PC, Switch, and consoles, like PS4 and whatnot. I guess the Switch is a console, but I like to consider it kind of different, you know what I mean? It's different in some other ways because it's kind of like a handheld, but We also have that for SMT3 and probably for future titles. I mean, SMT5 obviously not, because they have that little thing with Nintendo there, but a lot of the Persona titles coming out could also be seeing, you know, released on other stuff like PC and on Switch and stuff like that, because they really don't have to worry about that, you know, having a licensing agreement like they do with SMT5, and SMT3, you know, didn't have a part of that licensing thing either. So a Persona 4 port remaster brought over and a Persona 3 port or remaster brought over to different things would be super dope. Like I said, fingers crossed it's a remaster, but it might as well just be a port, and I think I'd be still just as happy just having the game just brought over to something new, for new people to play, new people to experience. That's still the fun of it, and I still really look forward to hopefully having the first chance to actually play Persona 3. I've not beaten that one, I've not played that one, although I do own it. Alright, and the third thing on my list here is the Persona dancing game. So we know that we had the Persona 5 and the Persona 3 dancing games sort of bundled together, and if you got the whole bundle for that, you would also get the Persona 4 dancing game. But I feel like these games would also do very well on something like the Switch, but more than likely they could also just bring it to PC as well. I think a lot of people would like to play it on there. I think the game's better on controller. I don't know how well it would work on like a keyboard and mouse, but I know it would work really well on the Switch, especially seeing as how Persona 4's dancing game was actually done on the Vita. It would work just as well, I think, on the Switch. The Switch has similar-ish buttons. They're kind of small like the Vita had, but I still think it could work pretty well, and you have both of the Joy-Cons. It would be kind of cool if you could play the dancing games like with some sort of motion controls or something like that. That just seems to make sense. It's a dancing game with motion controls. At least if this thing is going to be brought over to somewhere, it makes sense if it doesn't bring, you know, over to PC, the dancing games, but at least having them on Switch would make more sense, I think. They have like the fitness games or the things where you actually like put the Joy-Cons on your feet and stuff like that. This would be a perfect game to have on Switch. The dancing games just make so much sense that way. Having motion controls with a dancing game, that's just perfect. I mean, Just Dance does it. Why not do that with the Persona games? I think this could make for some pretty funny streams as well for content creators. I would love to do this personally. I think that'd be so funny, but I think that just makes a lot of sense having that on the Switch with motion controls. Alright, for these next two, with number 4 and number 5, what I think they're going to be releasing with these 7 projects are kind of a shot in the dark. But we have to remember, this is the 25th anniversary, so more than likely, this is going to be something that is encasing all of the Persona games in general. And I think it'd be really cool if we did get something like a 25th anniversary, like Persona vinyl records or something like that. Just a nice catalog of all of the Persona music over the past 25 years, all sort of cataloged in either like nice vinyl sets or like CD sets or something like that would be really interesting to see. And I also think something alongside this, like a Persona concert where they do all of the different music throughout all of the years, would be really interesting as well. We've seen that they've done certain concerts just for Persona 5 in general, and they've done some stuff for the Persona 4 music, but they haven't done something where they did all of the different soundtracks from the different Persona games. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing another concert. These are all projects. You gotta keep that in mind. Not every single thing on here necessarily has to be a video game, so I wouldn't be surprised if they have a 25th anniversary, just full-on Persona concert, just having all the different games and all the different musics live, which would be super dope. Hopefully they would come over to more places than just Japan, jumping over to maybe like the States or even Europe and stuff like that. That would be really cool and really interesting and like fun to watch, I think, personally. Or just seeing it online would still be just as cool. Maybe online tickets or something like that, but I would love to hear all the music throughout all the years instead of a nice collage, either through a concert or having them be on like vinyls or something like that. They did that with the Persona 5 stuff, so why not do this with the rest of the series as well? Alright, for number 5 on my list here out of the 7, and this is a little far-fetched. Like I said, my number 4 point, number 5 point here, a little far-fetched, but I think having an actual just full-on remaster of the first original Persona game would also make a lot of sense as well. And this might be something we see earlier on within all of these projects, but it is the first Persona game. It is something that birthed the series, and we're talking about the anniversary, right? 25 years of it. How could they do this without not giving a little bit of love to the first original Persona game? You know what I mean? I feel like that makes a lot of sense for them to do something like that. Give some appreciation to the first title, let all the new Persona 5 fans, the Persona 4 fans, live and see and experience the very first original Persona game. You can see the evolution of the series and where it came to be. I think that just makes a lot of sense for them to do something like that. But we know Atlus, them making sense with a lot of their decisions, a lot of times doesn't happen. There's a good chance though that they have been waiting for this to build up all the different things that we've been wanting. Everybody has been talking about wanting, you know, Persona 4 Golden on console, how it makes absolutely no sense that it's not on there. Well, it could because they're waiting for this 25, anniversary to have all of this different stuff brought over finally for us. They had to build up and have some excitement around having a lot of different types of projects for the 25th anniversary, so that might be why. But I have Persona 1, Persona 2 Remaster here on my list for like number 5, but I think more realistically we'll see something like Persona 1. I think Persona 2 and, Persona 2 like Part 2, I guess you could say, would also be cool to have, but I think I might be asking a little bit too much when it comes to a remaster. I don't see porting these being too fun or exciting. They're super dated. Persona 3 feels a little bit dated, even Persona 4 sometimes feels a little bit dated. But I think Persona 1 and 2 just ports wouldn't really do it justice with how the current state of affairs are with gaming and stuff like that. It feels almost a little too old, and if they do port them and you can't play them on like console or Steam or something like that, it's a similar situation to what Final Fantasy's done, where they just flat out put all of their old Final Fantasy games on Steam. Putting Persona 1 and 2 on Steam I guess would make a lot of sense and would be okay, but dragging those over to console, I don't know how many people would actually pick those up and have fun with them. Especially a lot of the console players or the Switch players playing those original games. I think a full-on remaster of Persona 1 and Persona 2 would make a lot more sense than having them be just ported over. I know I personally would love to have that, but I don't think the casual fans of Persona would really want to play the original one, with just how dated it would kind of be. I'm not saying it's a bad game by any means, but it's been a long time. It's been 25 years, like it says, so just a port of it I don't think would make a lot of sense. A full-on remaster would be a lot better, and I mean like a full rework, like putting this thing in the like Persona 5 SMT5 engine and make it look that nice. I think that would be super dope and super cool for us to have, just to be able to experience, like I said, the original, where it all began. Alright, and number 6 and 7 on my list are those two brand new titles. So this is going to be nothing to deal with ports or remasters or anything like that, and these are going to be two games. Like I said, I think we're supposed to be expecting at least two brand new titles when it comes to these 7 different projects that we have here. I've gone over pretty much all the ports and different things like that I think kind of makes sense for them to do, but also maybe a little bit of a wish list for me personally as well, and I think a lot of people also sort of reflect with this list so far as well. But with number 6 and number 7 here, these are brand new titles, and I think number 6 here on my list is going to be a Persona 5 fighting arena type of game, or just a flat out Persona fighting game with all of the different characters, especially if they're trying to remaster a lot of these different models or porting them over and making them look better. I mean, think about it. The dancing games have better looking versions of all the Persona 3 characters, the Persona 4 characters in HD, the Persona 5 characters are, obviously already in HD, but all they would have to do is do the Persona 1 and the Persona 2 characters in HD, and then bam, you have high resolution models for most of the characters, so you could put them all together in a sort of fighting type of game. I don't see that being too crazy for them to do. It's also the 25th anniversary. Having just Persona 5 characters in a fighting game would be cool. It would be fun to have that sort of thing going on, but all of the characters together, I think that'd be really fun, and a really cool way to, I think, bring a lot of the community together. You're getting all of the different Persona fans together for one game. You're pulling from a super wide variety of just fans in general when you do these big collaboration type of, video games where you get all of these different fan bases together, the old ones, the new ones on the Persona 5 train that just jumped on it maybe in the last year or two, or with Royal literally just like the last year. You can have so many different people try to want to pick this up, and who knows, maybe the people who made the Persona 4 ones could also have time to now do this. I don't think, Fighters has been too popular as of late, so we could see something like that. We did sort of see some type of like so-called leaks, but you have to take the leaks with a grain of salt, literally when it comes to Persona at least. So who knows, we might be seeing something like this in the future. I think a fighting game would be, like I said, really fun and a big collaborative effort from the community in general, but that's sort of my predictions. I think that's a more likely thing than some of these other types of titles that might be coming out. So I know a lot of people are super optimistic about hoping that there's going to be a Persona 6 reveal trailer or teaser or something like that, but I don't think that makes sense for a full project to be something based around Persona 6. These are like full projects. They're not just teasers. I wouldn't consider a teaser trailer to be a project. So maybe after all this stuff is done, they'll give a teaser or something like that for Persona 6, but I don't think any of these 7 things are going to be Persona 6 related, and I do not think they're going to be just flat out be Persona 6 in general. I don't think one of the new titles is going to be that. It's going to take a long time for them to work on that game. I'm not expecting anything from that game for like another at least 2 or 3 years down the line. So I'm not super optimistic about that, and I was really optimistic about SMT5, but that's because it had been forever since they had started telling us things about it. Now we're getting a whole slew of stuff for SMT5, so I'm super pumped about that, but we're here to talk about Persona. So what could the 7th project or new title be? And I think this is going to be something similar to what happened with Persona 2 and how it had sort of 2 different versions, or I guess you could consider a sequel to Persona 2, or Persona 2 Part 2. That's what I'm going to kind of call it, but I think having a Persona 5 Part 2 is very likely, just dealing with how popular the series had become. I know a lot of people don't want this sort of thing, let the game be over, but there was a very big hint towards being more, especially at the end with Akechi and how he sort of seems like he's alive. Is he not alive? What's happening there? I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing a sort of, not a Persona 5 Strikers direct sequel, but a actual Persona 5 Part 2 sort of thing. Or maybe we're going through Akechi's story or different things like that maybe down the road, seeing a different perspective or a different spin on Persona 5, seeing as how just good Persona 5 Royal had did for the fan base. I wouldn't see them, putting it too far past them to try and maybe milk Persona 5 one more time with the actual full-on direct sequel from Atlus, not outsourced to like a different company for Strikers, but a full-on direct sequel. I would love this. I would like this. I'd rather have Persona 6 than a Persona 5 Part 2, but we could see something like this. But that's not all we might get. So I put a couple of different things down here that might make sense for brand new titles, and I think a PQ3 could also be in line. This is the big collaborative thing, the 20th anniversary of Persona. What's some collaborative games they've done? Well, PQ, right? That's what we should be sort of keeping our eyes on. This is a collaborative effort with all the Persona games. So having a PQ3 might be something that we see down the road. And the 3DS for the most part's done. So, with Q1 and Q2, we kind of already got that stuff, right? So now we should be focusing more on these newer consoles. Maybe a Persona Q3 on the Switch, or maybe even on something like console, right? Maybe we're not going to be seeing these chibi art anymore. We're going to be seeing full, better models. I'm sure they look sort of chibi because they're on the 3DS, but this might look even better and look more like something like Strikers or with Persona 5, right? We might be seeing them in better HD models with a big collaborative thing with all of the Persona characters in a sort of, weird thing like most of the, Persona Q games have been. We'll have all the characters sort of interacting and talking with each other and stuff like that. That would be super cool, and I think that's literally exactly what the fans want, just to see this big collaborative effort of all the characters together. This seems to make sense to me, and I feel like this wraps this video up very well. It's a collaborative effort, right? We shouldn't put too much emphasis on it being Persona 5 related, although I feel like that's the game that's really put this, franchise on the map and did a lot for Atlus, so I'm not surprised if we see spin-off stuff more for that, but I'm hopeful that we see bigger things from them with huge collaborative efforts from all the different Persona games, like I said. But I think it's going to be it for this video. Drop in the comments down below. Do you think any of these are too far-fetched? Do you think these are dumb ideas? Do you have a better idea as to what you think they're going to be doing? Is there any leaks or things that you've heard that might be coming out of this? Drop them down in the comment section below. Give a like on this video if you liked any of these projects or if you like any of these ideas, and just to support the channel, subscribe so you'll be here when a new video comes out. Click the bell to be notified when a new video drops, and or whenever I go live. I've been streaming a lot, but yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.